Extension agents often work outside the traditional workplace setting. Today we're here in Cloverville at the Kentucky State Fair. Extension agents are advisors at the county level and judges at the state level. So come with me today and let's check out the different events here at the Kentucky State Fair. Kelly, what advice would you offer new agents working with food programs or food demonstrations?
I guess my advice would be to look at the new varieties. In our clientele, we work with primarily gardeners with horticulture programs, and they're always interested in what's new, what's coming out on the market. And there's a lot of new varieties out there that if they are looking for food demonstration plots or things to teach to younger children or even for their own family, there's a lot of great varieties that they can look into, but don't also forget the heirloom varieties too.
I'm with Christine Duncan today, and she's going to give us some new advice for new agents when working with food demonstration programs. Christine, what advice do you have?
Well, be yourself. Learn your recipe, practice your recipe, work with your family, see if they like it. Even practice your demonstration in front of people. I like to measure all my ingredients ahead of time and make sure I have everything there and double check and maybe sometimes triple check to make sure I have everything available. And just be yourself and talk about your mistakes. If you goof up and you're going to burn something occasionally, you're going to mismeasure, the phone will ring. Oh, what my worst mistake is, I was making rolls one time and I got busy and the recipe page got flipped. So I started out doing one recipe and wound up doing another recipe. So little mistakes like that, everybody makes mistakes.
Gary, what advice would you give for any agent working with homeschool children?
We have a lot of homeschool kids that are involved in our cooking club. It's a good draw for them. It's a chance for them to get together. One of the kids' parents is the club leader, so they meet once a month there at the office. It's really a good project for them. There's a lot of guys. Guys love to cook. I think, with the popularity of Food Network and all that, they really like to do that. The club leader, Amy, she really tries to coordinate the club meetings with the seasons. In the fall, they'll do fall-ish recipes. Around the holidays, they do a lot of stuff for the holidays. In the summer, they do cookouts, outdoor cooking, those kind of things. And it's really helped. Our numbers went from about 6 in the club originally, and we're up to about 15 to 20 now, and they're probably majority homeschool kids. So,
Judy Hederman has been an extension agent for many years. Judy, can you describe some of the duties that you have as an advisor to your fair board?
I work with the Owen County Fair Board in coming up with the different classes and the different departments that we have during the fair, and also working with getting the superintendents, which are usually my extension homemakers that help, and other volunteers too.
I'm sure you use a lot of volunteers. What kind of things do volunteers do, and what kind of training do they need?
Throughout the year, we have monthly trainings that the homemakers attend, and through the different classes and workshops that we do, the homemakers gather the training that they can utilize in helping to judge other county fairs as well as to work with the departments at the county fair.
It is usually hot during fair time. What are some food safety concerns that an agent might need to consider?
Well, in your fairs, you usually do not have cream pies available. Things that have to be refrigerated, you want to avoid. So that's why in the cooking culinary section, our products are like brownies and things that you don't have to worry about that has to be refrigerated. They can withstand the heat, cookies and cakes and things like that. But icing, it depends on the types of icing. So you want to be careful with the types of icings that you do put on a cake.
When I look at this can of green beans, it is hard for me to know how to decide if it deserves a blue ribbon. What should I look for?
With a can of green beans, the thing, you want to make sure that your products, like the beans, are the same size when they've been broken. You want to look to see if there's any bug holes, or make sure that the beans are not, they come up to the bottom of the lid, the ring there, and you don't want it too far up. You don't want it packed too solid, so you want, and everything needs to be covered with liquid to make sure.
Judy, do you have a favorite memory of your fair?
The favorite memory of being at the fair, I think, is just to see when our clientele comes in and they have seen that they've won a purple ribbon. That's really exciting, especially young kids that win for the first time, and there are people that have entered for the first time and got a blue ribbon. So it's just neat to see their reaction.
what advice would you give a new agent when working with fair events?
Just get involved with your leaders and your volunteers and the fair board and support them and make it the best that's possible for their county, because it's nice to see how things, different items that your clientele make, they bring them to the fair and how proud they are, and it really shows what's happening in your county.
There's lots of things you can do. As a horticulture agent, I'm involved heavily with vegetable gardens and things, so we've done a lot to support local foods. We're also doing some interesting things on a bigger community basis, and the key there is to simply find who your activists are, tap into people who are already moving that way, who want your resources, your support, your backup, and it's much easier to work through those channels than to try to tackle the world single-handedly. That's kind of hard to do.
The first thing that I would say is to have hands-on. Children love the hands-on programs, and I would always incorporate good food practices. For instance, I'll tell you what, one of the things we do in Grant County, we take the food pyramid and we take it very seriously. So there's 2 recipes that you can use that includes every part of the food pyramid, things that sometimes they haven't ever tasted. For instance, you can make a sunflower out of a rice cake, and you take slithers of carrots and put around for the petals, sunflower seeds for the inside, and then you'll put cream cheese on there and then add some raisins, and you have all 5 groups of the food pyramid.
Definitely get to the children, the young children in the elementary schools. That it is very important that, to reach the obesity issues and teach them nutrition, whether they are being taught that at home or not. Maybe cooking clubs, after-school cooking clubs would be a great way. We have a fantastic program called Superstar Chef that teaches how to cut things and how to use the kitchen safely and how to use specific foods and what to put together. Come up with some of those neat snacks that maybe make a smiley face in the paper plate or something for after school. Maybe the boats in the celery with raisins on top and peanut butter. Make it fun for the kids, and then they'll come when you're trying new things.
I'm here today with Rosie Allen. She's going to give advice to new agents while working with food programs. Rosie, what is your advice tips?
First off, if you're not familiar with a particular item, like with food preservation, be sure to take the training that's offered through the University of Kentucky or at a training across the state. Different agents offer food preservation training throughout the summer, so be sure you check out one of those. When I first started with Extension 20 years ago, I didn't know a thing about canning tomatoes or making pickles, and now I'm down here judging it, and it's because I took those trainings. And that also goes along with things like diabetes. If you're not familiar with how diabetes, what that disease is like and how people need to prepare food or how people need to control their diabetes, take the trainings that are offered for those things so that you're more comfortable with helping your clientele when they come in to ask questions. When you're planning programs, be sure to survey your audience to find out a good date and time to hold your programs. I discovered at a fall festival giving out a survey that holding a series on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock worked for the majority of the people that were interested. I would have never discovered that if I hadn't surveyed them. I would have probably held it at night, taking up my family time, when I could have had it in the afternoon. So I thought that was a good thing for me to find out, was a good date of the week and a good time to hold a program. When you're scheduling your classes, consider piggybacking them on something else that you already have going on. For example, we have a Zumba workout led by the health department at our extension office every Tuesday and Thursday at 6. So I discovered having the cooking from the garden lesson at 6:30, a majority of those people would come right on over to my class from the Zumba class. So try to piggyback things when you can. If you happen to offer Wait the Reality series, a lot of times people in that group that meets every week, they like to continue meeting. So I found that offering Small Steps to Health and Wealth as a follow-up to Wait the Reality series, I had a built-in audience for that. And then if you remember in that movie, that one Harry Potter movie, where Mad-Eye Moody said something to Harry Potter like, play to your strengths, remember that you need to play to your strengths as well. If you aren't comfortable talking about jicama to the senior citizens group, then talk to them about My Pyramid. If you don't have time to research something, don't try to cram it in on the evening before you have to teach it the next day. Allow time to study up on a new item that you're going to be teaching or a new subject matter, but also toss in things that you're very familiar with so that you feel comfortable when you're teaching, because that does show.
I'm a foods judge in the 4-H Cloverville for State Fair. And what we do is we take the entries from the kids all across Kentucky during this morning is what we did was take the entries. These kids have probably competed either at a county fair or county level to be eligible to enter at the state fair. And then we take them and we do a taste test of the product. We do an appearance. We all have judging sheets that we have to go through. So over the years that I've been here, I've had to judge in several different categories, and it's not really hard. Usually we can do an appearance test first, because you can obviously see if something is burnt or not been following the recipe, because they all have a standard recipe that they should follow. And so at that point, you can kind of separate out maybe red ribbons, blue looking ribbons, and then you can go back and start tasting. And sometimes what you thought was going to be a class champion, just by looking at it, once you taste it, if it's something that needs to be sliced or cut, you can look at it and it may not meet all the criteria. But by the end of the day and in tomorrow, we'll have everything judged. We'll start plating it for display, and then it'll be ready for opening day on Thursday for the state fair.
I'm here at the Kentucky State Fair with Dr. Sandra Baston. Dr. Baston, would you explain more about some tips when you're judging here at the State Fair?
Well, it's most important to look at quality first. We're looking at a good product that's going to taste good as well. So we first want to eat with our eyes. So I'll use this as an example. This is a typical corn muffin recipe, and you can see that the blue award has got a nice rounded top. There's no mounding that like we have here. It's nice and golden brown, the same color everywhere, but it's a little bit darker around the edge where it was on the pan, whereas some of these others have browned excessively. And so we're looking for something that when we cut, we will also have a good grain when we're talking about baked goods. And you can see here that there's a nice even grain. It's nice golden brown. And as we start to get into the lower quality, we start to have some tunneling, we have pale crust, we have underdoneness. So we're looking for the quality and the texture of the product as well as the appearance.
Well, through the years, I've found a couple really helpful tips. One of the things that I found is sometimes we have to take a lot of food and ingredients and blenders and cups out in the field to schools or fairgrounds or farmers markets. So I get 2 of the large plastic tubs. And when I go out, maybe the foods, they're just all a mixture when I go out. But when you're coming back from the school or the farmer market, you put all the dirty dishes in one of the plastic tubs. So when you get back late at night, sometimes from a school program at 8 or 9 o'clock, and you don't feel like washing those dishes, you just fill it with water and they soak overnight. So when you come in the morning, you can just wash those dishes. So never mix the clean dishes with the dirty ones in the food products. And while you're out at the school system, sometimes you don't want to carry all that stuff back, and you may have like 20 bananas left from smoothies or whatever you're making. I use those for door prizes. So I door prize away 4 or 5 bananas to each family, and they get to take nutritious fruit home. I don't carry it back to the office, so that's an excellent idea. I do a lot of work with Hispanic audiences, and we really don't have a translator on board. So the way I do that work is through churches or the ESL programs, and they already have a translator there, or the health department. So having community partners is so important because they provide childcare, they provide translators, and you go to the site and just provide the program. So come and go like that.
Probably the best advice, Katie, that I could give to young agents would be to go and work with your family and consumer science agents, and also work with your family resource people, because they are the key to getting you in the schools and working with the school teachers. Look at your care guidelines and see what the students are tested on. So that's a really good way to get your foot in the door at the schools and do in-class programming, and then add it to your after school. Anything hands-on the kids love, and if they can eat it, so much the better.